Hi.
Hey, Alex, so you'll never guess what I have in my hand here.
Do you have another Spirited Away piece of memorabilia?
That'd be amazing, right? If I just pulled out something else from Spirited Away, just straight up on
Super
me.
casual, no big deal, like no face, everything.
Did you hear this? I read this in the New York Times that Miyazaki, whatever, he's making a new film.
Which every time I hear that, though, I'm like, yeah, you've been saying that literally for every single movie that you've directed for the past, 20 years.
Yeah, but this was actually coming out.
It was supposed to be your last movie.
Yes, that's true. I just had a New York Times piece, and it was like, he's doing a new movie, and I was like, that's awesome. I should tell Alex. But no, Alex, what I have in my hand is palm reading. It's a guide to reading your palm, a little guide to life's secrets. So I could just tell you anything about your life based on your palm.
I need that. Are you looking for some secrets? Some life secrets?
So is your index finger the same length as your ring finger? Because if it
is this the index finger?
No, this one, the pointer finger, is the index.
No.
So if it did, it means that you enjoy being in control and you possess a strong, dramatic, and can be flamboyant in ways that you express yourself. But neither that's relevant because you don't. When you
my index finger is definitely a little bit taller than my ring finger.
Your index finger is taller than your ring finger? Wait.
Yeah, it's a little bit taller. This is my index finger, right?
Wait, which one's the ring?
This.
So it's like these two against each other.
Yeah.
Okay, mine are basically equal, so it means I like being in control. Welcome to a new episode of Cinema Bias, guys. This is the show where we go and talk about things like palm art, but also the movies right now of James Mangold, who we are doing a Mangolden Age of Cinema Bias, a retrospective solely on the works of James Mangold, writer, director, guy who's doing the new Indiana Jones movie, because his career has been wild. What have we learned so far, Alex?
Guy, if you don't know who James Mangold is, he probably works low-key hard to make that happen, just because he has the opportunity to make these massive movies. He has won Oscars. He's won his movies haven't won Oscars, to be more specific, but he's a pretty notable director nowadays. However, he's not a director that everyone knows about. He's not a Christopher Nolan, or the McKay brothers or anything like that. But he's one of these consistently changing, evolving directors that can really tackle a whole bunch of genres. Mm-hmm. Whether good or bad is really up to you.
However, before we were getting started, we were discussing Identity, a one that I think is very bad, but other people really love.
A lot of people love
this movie that we're doing this week. I would put it in Identity pile if I was piling the James Mangold experiences into like little lumpy sums. I would put Identity and Night and Day in the same category, and that I don't know what these movies are doing.
I'm not surprised in the slightest. I had to be honest though, when I remember when this whole premise was proposed and we were deciding on what director we should go or writer, whatever maybe should go next. My first thought was, I cannot wait to tackle Night and Day with you.
Why?
Because this movie's weird. This movie is genre bending. You don't entirely, it's not what you expect from these actors with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. And this is the first true action adventure movie that's directed by him versus say something much more serious. It's very light in tone. It's meant to be very funny. Whether or not
it's ridiculous for this movie. You can tell that it's supposed to be a comedy solely based on the soundtrack, which is this goofy score in the background of what otherwise would be considered solely a Mission Impossible movie, the same plot as several Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, before we kind of dive into all that fun stuff, obviously, okay, so have you heard of this movie, Drew? Did you know this movie was a thing? Were you excited? Did you watch it? What was it?
Oh, I know my internet might be a little bit shoddy right now, so just bear with me, guys. But I did not know about it. I think I thought this one was the same as like A Kid in King Arthur's Court. I understood that this was a separate movie with a separate plot because they spell night Knight, which is not how you spell night and day. I'm still unclear about whether was that their last names? They were Night and Day, or was that just like a funny?
So. I think so. Yeah.
That looks like a loon because he's holding like a little. He's got like a little knight guy. Oh, there's just a lot going on here. So no, I didn't really know about this movie. I think in my mind I got it confused for Collateral, which again is a kind of similar premise if you take away the genre of it. Collateral is about Tom Cruise, like developing a funny kind of like quirky relationship with Jamie Foxx, who picks him up from LAX, but it turns out, whoops, like Tom Cruise is a hitman, and like Jamie Foxx is now escorting him to like murder people, and it's like a weird fun, like it's like an identity thing. But in that, like it is Tom Cruise definitely being the villain, and it's a Michael Mann movie. And Collateral is very, very different in tone than Night and Day, but again, like weirdly similar premise.
I'm kind of curious to see if we can ever get a Collateral the movie only done with some like a comedic score or anything, because there's a bunch of YouTube trailers YouTube channels online where it's just, let's make the movie 50 Shades of Grey into a Disney movie, and they would re-edit the trailer essentially, and they would add like certain different music, and so it changes the entire tone. It was like if it was more of an intense family drama versus versus a psychological thriller kind of thing, and it's really fun to kind of see how that would happen. And I would really be curious to see how Collateral that would be worked with for Collateral as well. Mm-hmm. That'd be fun.
I mean, this movie is also very funny. Like, it's got like a lot of quirks to it. Like, it was signed on to another director at first. 12 writers signed up. Were technically given credit for this script. Like, that's crazy. That's so many writers. Due to the like large number, only one of them actually get the credit. But like 12 people, like according to Writers Guild of America, worked on the script. That's just too many people. Like, you can tell there's too many kitchen people, the cooks in the kitchen. It was in development hell for a long time before they actually got Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, who, as we know, were also in Vanilla Sky together. Not having like the best exact chemistry in that movie, but I guess good enough that they would be put together for this one. My mom had one thought while watching this movie.
Oh, really? And what was that thought?
She's like, wow, she's so much older than him. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, it's that mom. It's that she thought it was like another woman. She thought it was the mom from Requiem for a Dream, Ellen Barsten. And she thought it was Tom Cruise and Ellen Barsten. I was like, no, it's Cameron Diaz. And she's like, well, she's so much older than him. And I was like, that's just not legally true or in any way
like
true.
in any way. that just hurts my heart, and I'm very, very confused by that statement.
I mean, like, there's so many people that were involved in this movie. Like Chris Tucker and Eva Mendes were at one point like slated to be next to each other. Yeah. And Adam Sandler was supposed to be in this movie against Cameron Diaz, but it was still supposed to be solely a comedy. I mean, there is Gerald Butler was attached, but then he decided to do the movie that I think I also thought this movie was, which was The Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston.
Yes. Yikes. You're not kidding. This movie has, like a lot of movies, it's definitely gone through some issues before it ever started filming, obviously. And there's a ton of movies that are blacklisted, that are in pre-production for years before they ever start filming, obviously, with re-edits and all that good stuff. So, hi, Adam. Oh, so excited. But overall, what we did get is this action adventure comedy spy thriller, and I think one of the more unique films in James Mangold's filmography overall, but also one of the more unique films in Tom Cruise's filmography as well. Tom Cruise, obviously more well known for doing more spy thrillers, more intense psychological thrillers such as Vanilla Sky, Collateral, the Mission Impossible films, but we haven't really seen him tackle comedy all that much since his amazing role as Les Grossman, talent agent or manager, whatever you want to call him, from Tropic Thunder. So overall, what do you think of the cast in particular?
I mean, I feel like I thought about the cast the same way my mom did, except like I thought they were both like too old for this role. Like they were both too old for this shit. Like it really was like one of these things where I think Cameron Diaz her character was written by one of the 12 writers on this project and someone way younger. Like this was supposed to be a character I think that was supposed to be like not in her like mid to late 30s, early 40s or whatever he's supposed to be. Like these are supposed to be young, sexy actors, and it felt like very weird to be watching these people not only just like I guess he's in the right age group to pretend to be a spy, but she's like a mechanic and it's like a cool sexy job and she's got this whole thing going on. I don't know, I thought they had good enough chemistry, but that's because I think Tom Cruise can have chemistry with a rock, and like Cameron Diaz is just very cute and adorable. But I didn't feel like they were particularly like a sparkling dynamic duo, and I feel like honestly he probably would have been better played by someone a lot younger, or someone like Channing Tatum, or someone who has like a little bit more of a comedy background than Cruise does. Because this movie does not come off like a comedy. It comes off like it's just Owen, whatever his name is, from fucking Mission Impossible.
Funny you say that because Tom Cruise, he was actually one of the real big backers behind this movie. And yes, and when he was like helping shopping around and trying to make this movie much more solid before filming, he originally wanted to go for, he knew that a lot of people wanted to compare it to the movie The Tourist with Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie. But then that movie failed tremendously, obviously, and he's like, well, we got to change it up somehow. Let's try to add a lot more comedy than expected. And I actually like his casting in particular, because not only do I feel like it's incredibly meta for him to do that role with such a comedic take. We haven't really seen him in that role before, and I liked seeing him and a character that really kind of pushed him to flex his actor muscles, if that makes sense, where he's not being dramatic, he's not, or anything like that. He's just doing something he hasn't really done before. Yes, he's done this action spy thriller and everything, but he hasn't been funny, he hasn't been weird, he hasn't been awkward or anything before. And I think Channing Tatum, when this movie was released, Channing Tatum wasn't considered a funny actor yet. Like we didn't have whatchamacallit, 21 Jump Street or anything yet. So that would have been a much more unusual, to me, it would actually not scratch that, not unusual. It would have been much more of a standard casting comparatively. And yeah, and to Cameron Diaz, I feel like she can do anything, honestly. But it kind of felt like very much a call-in kind of situation for her, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, not long from then, Cameron Diaz would retire from acting, deciding like just no more acting. Yeah. And Tom Cruise would just go on to make only action films, which is like I'm like not even on camera. Those are two very separate ways to handle being in night and day. One is like, well, I'm just so good at this, so I'm just going to go star in all the action films. And the other one is
break my body doing it.
Wait, Adam's saying that their last names are not Night and Day. So what the fuck is the title about? Wait, what is the title referring to then? I thought their last names were Night and Day. Is that not their name?
I don't know. I can't remember anymore now. Weird. But
wait, their last names are not. Oh my god. Wait, no, his last name is Knight. Her last name is not Day, because his real name is Matthew Knight. His code name is Roy Miller, so it is Knight from Night and Day.
Okay, I think.
Here's a question. Can you just tell me what the fuck the plot of this movie is, like in under 10 minutes?
Oh, are we gonna do the 60-second thing again?
No, we're not. I just am genuinely asking what the fuck is going on in this film.
Okay, Cameron Diaz's character, she gets her sister is about to get married, and she wants to give her a gift as a gift. She gives her dad's car, and she doesn't know it yet, but that's the plan. But she flies in because she's a bridesmaid. She's flying into town for the wedding and all that good stuff. She's also engaged to this firefighter dude, Anyway, while she's at the airport,
She's broken off the
casually-
engagement, right? She
What?
broke off the engagement. I thought she broke off the engagement because they're no
Not
longer.
yet.
Okay.
At this point. Yes.
Okay.
But at that point, she was not technically engaged, but he was kind of trying to, he was like bringing up the potential of marriage. And she's like, man, I don't want to do any of that shit. And so she just happens to run into Roy Miller, Mr. Spy himself, Tom Cruise, over at the airport. And little does she know, he dropped something off in her bag.
Yep.
So
machine,
ends up
like
like
a big MacGuffin.
Yes, big MacGuffin, and he ends up finding her again eventually. I can't remember where they reunite again temporarily, but at first she's just like, oh, this cool guy. He's just so interesting compared to my very boring firefighter boyfriend.
Okay, can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there? Because already we have 3 different movies. We have a movie about a girl going home to give her her soon-to-be married sister away, and is dealing with the car thing, and she's a mechanic, and she's got this younger sister who's getting married. She's debating her own marriage situation. Then we've got this spy movie with Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, but going by the name Roy Miller. He's been burned by he's a secret agent who's been burned by his own his own people, and is now on the run, and is now killing everybody in planes and landing planes himself. There's a lot of drugging in this movie. This is a movie that really loved to capitalize on the humor of drugging Cameron Diaz and having her do and say things that are silly because she's on drugs unwittingly, which I thought was a weird beat. It just does not play that well
nowadays, especially.
Or just ever. I feel like the joke of being you've been drugged by these men who are keeping you captive is not an inherently funny concept.
Hey,
but she makes it work.
Why am I in a bikini?
Yeah, exactly. It's oh my god,
I think
terrible.
I am a super spy that is fluent in all these languages and these abilities and all this cool stuff. I think I can change into a bikini without seeing anything.
That's what she said to him. That's what she says to him, luckily.
No, he says it to her originally.
To her first, right. Oh god, right.
Yeah.
I just drugged you and I didn't look at you when I changed you like a baby. This movie is fucking weird, man. And then the timelines don't really work out for me because the first day she's supposed to be flying out to see her sister and trying on gowns. Then there's all this football that happens, and she wakes up back in her own bed. But it's not like Groundhog's Day. Time hasn't reversed. She's still now a day late for going to her sister's. This wedding seemingly happens in real time over the course of a week. There's 20 things that go on. It turns out that they're looking for this device. The MacGuffin device is some sort of corrosive bomb that Paul Dano has built because he's in this movie. Little baby Riddler's in this movie.
Little baby Riddler.
Peter Sarsgaard, who's not really in anything. Viola Davis. I know, just doing she just comes in she's fucking what's her name from Suicide Squad, just literally the same character, just no difference in tone. I am from Suicide Squad.
It's just a quick reunion from the Kate and I, or whatever that movie is.
Leopold? Was she? Oh, she wasn't Kate and Leopold.
Remember, she was a cop, a random cop that was telling him, Hugh Jackman, to pick up the dog poop.
Oh my god, that's so funny. That's because that was watching Octavia Spencer and
way before she got famous.
Yeah, but it's just So there's 20 different things going on in this movie, all within the first 30 minutes, and then we're getting Peter Sarsgaard works for the CIA or whatever developmental office he's in, the office he's in, and he's actually secretly co-conspiring with the terrorists to steal it. I'm getting this plot kind of confused with one I saw 2 days ago, which is the Nick Cage movie Next, because that movie also has this weird element of the police or the government agency coming in and swooping in and stealing the, but that movie almost randomly makes more sense. One more time, Nick Cage can see 2 minutes into the future and is a Vegas street magician who is falling in love with Jessica Biel, who falls in love with him right back. Makes more sense to me than the plot of the movie Night and Day, which includes no time travel, no ability to see into the future, and no Nick Cage, Jessica Biel romance. And yet. What does her sister have to be such a big plot of this movie? Why is that what they thought?
She's not really a big plot of the movie, though.
No. But a big part of this story is this whole wedding thing that we have to get to, and it's not even the third act. It's not even the climax of the film.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can really just take it completely out of the movie altogether and nothing would change.
Mhm. Yeah.
Funny enough,
She
it's
was going
I
on a
think
random trip, you know? Like, I just thought it was so distracting to have this whole side-by it almost felt like they were doing something like, "This is a
mhm.
Mission Impossible movie, but here's a little something for the
I
ladies."
Well, I honestly thought that I can't remember what the term is called, but it's essentially that side mini plot line essentially is introduced because they need someone to compare her to, another female character to compare her to. Be like, yeah, she's real cool. She works on cars and shit. She's tough. She's cool, and you know how cool she is and everything because you stand her next to her sister, who is getting married and seems comparatively much more girly that's getting married and wants to sell the car that has like a different set of morals because she wants to go on a honeymoon. How dare she?
Yeah, but also, like,
Therefore, I felt like that was the reason why they just need someone to compare her to make her seem much more interesting.
yeah, okay, fair enough. But then why do you need Gal Gadot to compare and make her look less interesting against? Because Gal Gadot shows up all of a sudden, like, really late in this movie. There's like a random Gal Gadot cameo from like pre her being famous, and she's just straight up like, "I'm the cool spy." Like, it's basically her in that like Red Letter movie that just came out or whatever it's called.
Oh, Red Notice.
Red Notice. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, I think it was more that
Is that to make her look approachable?
to make not only make her more approachable, but also to remind her she is not as cool or as sexy, obviously, as this other as Gal Gadot. Oh, because no one's as attractive as Gal Gadot.
Oh yeah, Gal Gadot is no longer age appropriate for Tom, or has never been age appropriate for Tom Cruise. But he can do what he does.
That's true. He only marries women that are considered to be in his age range.
Yeah, I just feel like in their 30s. Like, there's a certain age element of like, okay, his personal life is what it is, but like in the world of these films, he's never playing Tom Cruise, so he's never supposed to be able to bag women who are like half his age. Like, that wouldn't be a plausible reality unless he's like, I just be sort of James Bond.
But that happens. I mean, there's a lot of actors that do that, where they put it in their closet, or like I will, like when Tom Cruise, he did American Made. I can't remember what the actress's name.
Wait, Tom Cruise did American Made?
The movie American Made, yes.
Wait, the one with you mean the American Made with the one with J-Lo?
No.
That's Made in Manhattan. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I say what?
Okay, never mind.
But American Made, where he plays like a pilot during the 70s, and he's going like to and from somewhere in the Caribbean or somewhere in Latin America and everything. But his wife is like back home. His wife is literally like 22 years old. Meanwhile, he is literally 55. And the same thing with like the movie The Mummy. He was like similar.
Yeah, oh my god.
But his girlfriend in that movie was not even like, she was like 26, 27.
Yeah, I wish you very grateful that like Cameron Diaz is at least somewhat age appropriate for Tom Cruise.
Because she's at that point, she is in her early 40s in real life.
Yeah.
Which is considered
like way too old for a rom-com. Especially for a rom-com in which your younger sister is getting married. What's the age gap there?
No.
I also recognize that actress. Who was that actress who played the sister? She looked really familiar.
Oh wait, give me a hustle. It's a Maggie Grace.
Oh my god, is it Maggie Grace? Is that who it is?
Let me find out. Give me a minute. I'm trying to find out.
I think you're right.
I bet it's on Maggie Grace.
I was like, I've definitely seen her play a lesbian in something, was my one thought. It is Maggie Grace.
Is it?
It is. Yep, you got it.
Yes!
You nailed it. Good job.
Schmoedown. Cut me a call.
She was in Twilight. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she was in the movie Twilight. She was in Breaking Dawn Part 2 and 3. So she's in Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. That's not bad.
I noticed, yeah, because she's one of the Alaskan cousins, right?
Yes.
She's the one who goes like isn't she the one that
ends up getting killed at the very end? Spoiler.
Yeah, she fucking snitches on them.
Yeah, because she's like, hey. The thing is, she snitches on them because she's like, hey, by association, I'm gonna die. And also she has on the back of the head that they're kind of traitors because she's like, hey, you guys also killed
she's like, you guys created one of their children.
my boyfriend, my almost boyfriend, Laurent, or whatever his name is.
Well, no, that wasn't the same one. This is the one who killed. Wait, this is the one who's mad because the baby is a halfling or whatever.
Yes. But remember when she was okay? So we're gonna go down like a big Twilight thing real quick.
Let's do it, girl. Because
in Breaking Dawn Part 1, they get married, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so she's at the wedding and she's like, oh. And she's like, oh, I can't be here. The smell of werewolves. Oh, they're disgusting. But also she's like, she invited them, the ones in particular that murdered my Laurent. And there's like, dude, they are our friends. And she's like, yeah, but she killed them. These werewolves killed my boyfriend. He was supposed to be like us. He was about to never eat humans again like us and be a fruitarian or whatever we're calling it now. And she's like, yeah, but he wasn't, and he was on their territory. So yeah, but
he died in the last film, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was Breaking Dawn Part 1 though. And
no, I'm saying, but Laurent must have died in like one of the previous films where the werewolves and the vampires were fighting them, duking it out, like the previous film.
Yeah, it wasn't mentioned in the plot, any of the previous plots, but it was mentioned only in Breaking Dawn Part 1. So,
well, isn't that fascinating? Now we got some Breaking Dawn history, but yes, she was in it. God,
so, I know the Twilight franchise.
I'm very interested in like Moose's comment here, though. Like, he's one of these people that apparently, like, he loves this movie. This is becoming a Mangold thing, we're realizing, because between Identity and Night and Day, which apparently is also Bibbs's favorite Mangold film, according to a recent Twitter poll, like, this movie apparently is like a fan favorite. Adam also thinks this is an underrated film. I mean, tell me, guys, tell me in the comment section, sound off. Why is this movie interesting to you people?
I think honestly it's interesting because it's not a movie that takes itself seriously. It's one of the more fun movies that we see Tom Cruise in. And okay. I'm over here, down here. Oh, yeah.
He's being very charming in this movie. I'll give him that. Yeah. He's being very charming.
And I like seeing that in him. I find that aspect of his character so much more interesting than seeing him in Mission Impossible for the 11th time.
Yeah, where he doesn't seem like he's having as much fun, and he's like cheating on his wife, kind of, but like not having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And just disappears for the entirety of like Mission Impossible, like 3 through whatever, until he decides he doesn't need to be with her anymore and like marries somebody else, and she's like cool with it. Very Fast and Furious style.
I do think as well that this movie was actually very appealing to both Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz as not only not because as actors, but because the type of actors they are. They love doing their own stunts. They are both really great drivers as well. So they did all their own like driving stunts as well.
No way they allowed them to do the driving.
Well, Cameron Diaz, she went to like a stunt driving school and everything. Oh, she did it on her own time.
Enough money in the world to do that.
Yeah, she loves that shit. And Tom Cruise, obviously, famously so, he loves doing the same shit when it comes to like the running away from dust storms and tornadoes.
Like jumping off of buildings to hit his toe on other buildings.
Yeah. So I imagine like for them in particular, it wasn't about the scripts or anything. It was just mostly to have fun on set more than anything.
Compared to what we saw last week from 3:10 to Yuma, I mean, that was it. Like, for these movies to come back to back, it's sort of like, well, you just brought out the most charming version of Russell Crowe I've ever seen. You just did a really good job making this bro friendship movie, and now you're going to take like a similar idea of like meshing up the action genre with like, or the action buddy action rom-com genre with something else. So like prior case it was westerns, and this one it's rom-coms. And just making it into like its own thing. But like in this, I feel like it's just overly complicated. Like there's just 100 things going on, and I don't know why. And I guess 12 writers in the kitchen kind of answers my question. And the fact that this was supposed to be like signed on by several other like acting duos also makes sense. Like I could see this dialogue working a lot better if it was someone like, you know, Evan Mendes and who was the other one? Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker's a weird one, but like Eva Mendes.
I Want a Hitch Reunion. Will Smith and Eva Mendes.
That would have been great. Or Ava Mendes and Ryan Gosling. Holy shit, like a real life.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling would annihilate this movie. He would have made this movie like
oh my god. Oh my god. If this is
so
Ryan
perfect.
Gosling,
Or like fuck it. Let's real life couple Blake Lively and Ryan. Sorry, and and Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, that's basically you got the plot of this movie. Like that would have been great. I mean, that would have been, well, let me be honest, like that sounds okay. I don't really love Ryan Reynolds, but that would have been like at least marketable. I mean, this movie did not do very well in the box office, specifically because people felt like they were being really thirsty with their push for this film.
Yeah.
Like it was very obvious that Fox was getting desperate about this movie because they had done a bunch of test screenings and they were not turning out well. And they started predicting that this was going to go very terribly for them. And like, you know, Tom Cruise had invested his own money in this. He wasn't getting like a front payment as much money as he usually did. He was taking like a bunch of the return on this film, which like is a more precarious position to be in if this movie flops. Like they clearly didn't want to ruin their relationship with one of the biggest movie stars in the business. And so this movie started getting this like desperate sort of campaign push out with a viral video with the two of them. And there was like this movie opened early and it didn't flop as badly as people thought it was going to flop, but like it still did not do great. I think it was like his lowest running, or was his lowest opening weekend since like Far and Away, maybe. Yeah, so that's not great. Not great.
That Ron Howard epic.
But like this movie, I think I could see why. But it's not like you don't go see movies. You don't walk out of movies and being like, "This is a terrible movie," and get your ticket admission price back. So that opening weekend number is based solely on people's disinterest, not of like the movie once they see it, right? Like not midway through the movie they're going, "Fuck this," and like walking out. It's like the concept of the movie just inherently did not interest people. Watching these two actors play against each other just did not interest people.
Which is kind of, I think it's also more of, the thing is, action comedies, action rom-coms not as much, but action comedies are definitely a pretty popular like subgenre. Obviously, they are very profitable. I mean, like again, Red Notice most recently. You can talk about like how it technically wasn't released in theaters or anything. However, it is considered a very successful film and being viewed almost 200 million times.
Yeah, 200 Mr. and Mr. Smith is like a good example of one. Like there was The Killers, that one that was not very successful, but the one with Katherine Heigl and Ashton Kutcher. There's The Bounty Hunter. There's all these Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner ones in the 80s, I feel like. Yeah, I think it's a pretty, Romancing the Stone, the other one. Yeah, Romancing the Stone. It's a pretty popular.
This Means War. Date Night.
Date Night, The Lovebirds. Yeah, the whole thing can be like kind of thrown into a different spin. There's a one with Sam Rockwell, and I forget who's the chick.
Mr. Right.
Mr. Right with Anna Kendrick.
Talk about an age difference.
That was also very inappropriate, I felt like. Mr. Right.
It was that movie is so weird, but I appreciate it.
I mean, there's a bunch of Nick Cage movies that I feel like technically fall under this subheading. This is Gone in 60 Seconds, right? Like this is
that's not really a rom-com per se.
It's not really a rom-com, fair enough, but it does have like a very inappropriate age difference between its two leads, so it counts.
Wait, how old is Nick Cage?
Nick Cage is like in his 60s, babe.
I don't know. I have no clue.
Cage is definitely like almost hitting 60, if not 60 already. He is 57. Okay, so not super, super old. Angelina is what?
She's in her mid-40s.
So it's like a 10 years age difference.
Yeah, she's 46.
Yeah, so 11 years. Not huge.
Not bad at all.
Like it's not the biggest, but I feel like Gone in 60 Seconds really highlighted their age difference. Maybe it was like when she was on
100%. Yeah.
That is weird. I would think they were vastly different ages, but I guess more close than I would think.
But they vibe. But the thing is, they vibed together really well in the movie. Their chemistry was on point.
I will say Cameron Diaz, give this to her. Like Charlie's Angels is also a very good example of a genre piece that works in that, like a rom-com action film. But like, give it up for Cameron Diaz. She's pretty good at playing these roles. Like these are kind of hard shoes to fill. To play opposite Tom Cruise, one of the leading actors in America, to look short next to him, which is what you have to do if you're starring in a Tom Cruise movie.
She's already incredibly tall. She's like 5'11" without heels. And obviously, Tom Cruise is one of those actors that it's a thing where he usually puts it in his contract that he doesn't like to work with actresses above a certain height because it makes him look shorter and it like.
So I wonder how this movie happened. Like, how did they convince these two, and why would they think these two would work together well? Like I said, they were already in Vanilla Sky together, but if I remember correctly, that's mostly sitting down for a scene where they're in a car accident.
But you can't really compare the two.
No, you can't.
Really.
Because Penelope Cruz was his love interest in that.
Yeah, it's just like apples to oranges, essentially. Like people don't look at these. Not to mention, these are both two well-known actors in their own right. Cameron Diaz was hugely popular, and not only in just in general the rom-com genre. Obviously, she's an icon overall. And Tom Cruise, he's an icon when it comes to the action thriller genre. So.
And he'd been in a bunch of teen movies. I mean, he'd been an icon forever. She'd been an icon since.
But I mean, in the past like 25 years, it's been very dominantly this. That's why his most iconic roles are based in that genre. Versus Cameron Diaz, her most iconic roles are based in the
genre. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess my point is just that they seem the wrong ages to do this. I guess he just seems really old. He just seems like he's like, I don't believe that these people are in love. I believe that there are two actors putting on acting like their careers depend on this movie working out.
I do agree. I don't think it's a movie about chemistry. It kind of felt like they were a couple of actors that their characters seemed like they just had a lot of fun together. It was not about chemistry or anything. They just liked hanging out together, and they just happened to solve mysteries. And
I was thinking for like couples. I mean, remember when Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out, and that was like the sexiest movie anyone's ever seen?
Oh my god! It also helps that we ended up finding out later on.
No, people were pretty much guessing at the time that they were boinking because they were so into each other. Like that movie was
during promos. Yeah, when they were promoting it, they were like doing lovey-dovey eyes at each other.
Yeah, and this movie is like the opposite of that. This is just two people punching in their clock, going, "Okay, time to make a movie." Now you say the funny thing, now I say the funny thing. Like, let's be quirky and adorable, but like they are. Yeah. Also, with a weird moment where she was supposed to be dating Riley from Buffy. I was like, "Oh, there he is. There he is."
Yeah, he's like every time I see him, I'm like, he's such a. I feel bad because he's such a bland actor.
Yeah, he's good at playing like the knock-around boyfriend.
He looks like vanilla. He doesn't come across as interesting or anything.
Yeah. Like he'd be super boring in the bedroom, but he's cute enough. And like I like when Tom Cruise just shoots him in the leg.
And he's like, "Don't worry, you're not gonna die. It's like you're totally fine. They're on their way."
And was I the only one thinking throughout this movie that it was going to turn into Collateral and he was going to turn out to be evil? Because he kept doing things like, shooting her fiance in the fucking leg.
But he was very intentional not to do it in a very dangerous way, which feels contradictory.
In the fucking leg, like it's not.
Yeah, like I didn't shoot you in the artery. I was very intentional with where I shot you because now you're if anything you're gonna get a medal. So good for you. You're gonna go down in history as like a cool guy that was trying to defend his girlfriend and everything. So good for you. That's what you wanted, right? And you actually see him react and be like, "Yeah, thanks, bruh." Anyway,
yeah, he's like, "Way to look out, bro." He does then steal his girl and drug her for several more incidents.
It's so weird.
Also, like the idea that this movie has this one theme that they like to play up, like as if it's a comedic theme, but it's absolutely not comedic. Which is that if any of the guys kidnapping you say, "We're taking you to someplace safe," or "You'll be safe," what they really mean is they're about to fucking kill you. And like the way that people then say "you'll be safe" throughout the rest of the film is like in the most predator situations ever. Like she'll be like stuffed in the back of the car, and a guy will just keep repeating to her like, "Don't worry, you're going to be safe." And she's like, "Yeah, I know, you just said that." And he's like, "Well, I just want to repeat it. Like, you're safe here. Like, feel comfortable." Peter Sarsgaard, but also like the guy who's in the back of the car who just keeps repeating it ad nauseum until she's like, "Yeah, no, I heard you tell you that I'm going to be safe."
Yeah, and meanwhile, he's like also an assassin, like literally about to kill her.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, but the fact is, even if you heard that was the code word, you would definitely start thinking something was up. The way these guys throw you into a car and just keep telling you it's safe, like it's a fucking marathon man or something.
I think that's the point, though.
I think that is the point. I just think it's not a very funny beat.
Oh, that's true. It's definitely not.
Like, and I'm trying to think of myself in that situation. At no point would I be like, "This isn't a hilarious mix-up," or like, "What a comedy of errors." I'd be like, "Oh fuck, I'm dead. I'm in danger."
Yeah, totally. There we go.
This movie also has like a meet cute that involves a plane crash. That's terrifying.
That literally kills like
Everyone else.
100 people or something.
Oh no, because not that many people are on the plane. Remember? He bought out it was like a lost situation. That's why she's like she's not allowed on the plane, but then she is allowed on the plane. But she gets down there and she's like, oh hey, this plane's empty because there's only like 10 people on.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. What do you think of, like you said earlier, the surprise character actor of Paul Dano?
I'm so confused about like what he was doing there, why he showed up like 3/4 of the way through the film. Like what sorry, so he was a scientist? Explain what
he's some kind of super genius, a super wonder kid genius, essentially.
Okay, and at one point he stops a bullet by having something in front of his chest, but I don't really know what it was or why it was or what happened or why he would be so like, no, don't take the thing, when he really meant like that thing's going to corrode and blow up whoever's near it, so please take the thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like, you know, like a lot of double, like what they call like double swaps or like long cons or something like that, where like misdirects, where you're just like, oh, how did they know to do? Oh, I don't know how they knew how to do that. I guess
double triple agent situation.
Yeah, or like how Paul Dano's like begging Peter Sarsgaard not to take the thing with him, but then as soon as he takes it with him, it blows up, and he's apologizing to Tom Cruise. He's like, "No, I'm sorry that this thing's about to blow up," and you're like, "That's a great thing. That's what you wanted."
Yeah, he doesn't have the mind of a spy. He has the mind of a kid that's just trying to solve some puzzles, essentially.
But then he's apologizing to Tom Cruise as if he has given up a great, like he's given up the special thing instead of something that's about to blow up on the bad guys. So like he shouldn't be apologizing. I don't get what that apology was for.
You know, it's hard to say no to Paul Dano, little baby Paul Dano.
That's what stopped the bullet?
I don't know. I really don't.
But it feels like there's the whole character arc between him and Tom Cruise where we're supposed to know him really well.
I thought that was like a book or something, from what I remember.
Like a book stops a bullet? Is that what happens? I'm gonna Google
like
that.
A thick book, though.
But is it a book?
Like you see that in movies all the time, where like it's like it's a book like over the heart.
The whole thing about when it's used in movies is it's always a like Chekhov's gun, where you've been introduced to the thing that they're putting in front of their chest before. Like that's how you're able to see at the end. You're like, oh, he put the picture of his wife, and it's in a locket, and like that hit, you know, like, or oh, he put this thing in, or like in Deadpool 2, it's like a coin, right? So what the fuck is this thing that he has in front of his chest that we're supposed to know about? Let's see.
What he has in front of his chest is some bad writing. That's why.
I mean, is that what it is? It's some terrible writing.
It's actually it's actually the 9-day bad original script. That's really awful.
Can I be honest? Yeah, it's that script with all 12 writers just standing in front of them. But Roy takes the wait.
Yes.
It's so nuts. This is so nuts. Oh wait, Roy takes the bullet, but I guess he just faints. But he does have something in his pocket. I'm just so confused.
I remember he has something in his pocket.
Okay. Also, the fact that it's a MacGuffin or like a misdirect to know that he can swallow his breath for a very long time, which is also something Tom Cruise can do.
Yeah, he's that's something he's very proud about. He learned to do it for a movie. I don't know what movie, but he learned to hold his breath for like 12 or 15 minutes or something crazy.
6 minutes.
Oh wow, where did I get 12 to 15 minutes then? But that is like that's still a crazy long time for any person.
6 minutes is way too long to hold your fucking breath. That is way too long.
I don't like, what are you doing? Like when you want to hold your breath for that long, unless you're like a professional mermaid or some shit.
I don't know, because apparently that scene was broken up into 2 takes, so that's hilarious. Wait, but now, do you want to hear something funny? Apparently this was out last year. Kate Winslet beats Tom Cruise's underwater record in Avatar 2, in which she held her breath for 7 minutes. Good job, Kate.
Kill it, girl.
Why we know this about Avatar 2? That's the first fact I've had leaked about the plot of Avatar 2 is Kate Winslet holding her breath for fucking 20 minutes or whatever, some minutes. That's crazy. Don't hold your breath that long.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Marines are supposed to, in order to pass like the basic Marine test, essentially, that you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to hold your breath for like 4 minutes or something like that. I could be wrong. I could be thinking it could be like the Navy or Coast Guard or something like that, because that would also make sense. But for some reason, I think it's the Marines.
But they wrote this into the script, more importantly, that this is like the big thing that gets him out of trouble because she thinks he's dead. He's supposed to have died, but then she goes to the house, I guess the safe house that he told her to go to, and it's actually the house of his parents, who do believe that he's dead, but do let loose because they think he's been like a soldier that was shot down in Kuwait, and he hasn't told them that he's still alive, but he's sending them money. And what is hilarious, like the actual hilarious,
like win the lottery or something.
No, he says it. He's set up the most terrible cover story for an agent, which is he keeps sending money home to his parents by saying that they've won Publishing Clearinghouse. The dad has the funniest line where she's like, "Yeah, we won Publishing Clearinghouse," and he goes twice. It's just hilarious. And she's like, "Yeah, that's crazy." And he's like, "I don't even remember entering that Publishers Clearinghouse." She's like, "You don't remember what you do." That whole scene with the parents was very cute.
It was. It's definitely one of the more endearing scenes in the movies, and it's kind of weird that it had nothing to do with Tom Cruise or Cameron Diaz.
No,
these two mega charismatic mega stars, and meanwhile the characters that steal the show are these two random side characters that don't do all that much.
They're so cute, and they get the very last scene in the movie, which is that Cameron Diaz is moving Tom Cruise down to, I guess, Mexico, because I guess that's where they're going to hide out and be burned together. And at the end of the scene, you get a shot back of the parents, and they're like, and the mom's just like, "Oh, hey, we won a trip to Mexico." And he's like, "I really don't remember entering that." She's like, "You're staying at the computer all day. You don't know what you're doing."
I know, like so cute. With me, without me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those too.
It was definitely the cutest characters, and not to mention, I was like, from what I remember, I can't remember the actress. She's an actress. She's been in a ton of movies, but Celia Weston. She's been in a ton of movies.
She's in a ton of shit. She's in It Goes Down most recently that I saw her in.
I remember seeing her in The Intern from a few years ago with De Niro and Anne Hathaway. She was in another Cameron Diaz movie, The Box.
The one by Richard Kelly, the Richard Kelly movie, The Box. I still need to watch that. With James Marsden and
I think it gets a lot of flack, but I actually kind of like that movie.
I have to watch it. I don't know how I missed this Richard Kelly film, and not seen it.
It's weird. James Marsden plays her husband.
Yeah. And Frank Langella has a thing on his face.
Yes. I can't remember if it's based on a short story or
it's based on a let me tell you, it's based on a concept, which is the concept of would you trade if you could get $1 million, would you trade?
Is it just the concept alone? I thought it was because I've known the concept.
But unlike Monkey's Paw, which was a story, this is just a concept of would you trade in like $1 million for if a stranger had to die, but you got $1 million, would you take it?
It could be anywhere in the world, though. Anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I don't know what happens in this movie for that not to be like an issue that you're just like, yeah, I'll take the $1 million. Yeah, I'll take that $1 million again. I'll take another $1 million. You know?
Now. But the ending of that movie really surprised me. Like,
really?
Oh, you'll see. It's just, I remember watching it, I was like, oh shit.
Because this is the Donnie Darko director. Once again, this is the director of Donnie Darko.
They went there. Yeah.
And Southland Tales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Weird filmography. Maybe we'll cover that next time after James Mangold.
He has not done that many movies, though. It's like The Box.
We don't need to cover all these. We don't need to cover directors that have like a filmography of it's 15 movies, though, obviously.
Yeah, we could just go on a Richard Kelly sprint of 3 films that he's done, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. So any other thoughts about Night and Day? I'm trying to figure out why people love it so much. Let me see Night and Day Justice 4 and see if anyone has it.
My overall thoughts on the movie is I like the movie. I do think it's a messy movie and weird movie, but it's also a very fun movie, and I like seeing it's clear the actors had a lot of fun making this movie as well, and that really comes through with their characters. But it's also amazingly charming in a lot of ways. I think it's definitely one of the more charming movies we've seen Tom Cruise in. And Cameron Diaz is just herself. She plays herself the way what she usually does, and she's incredibly charming and funny and sweet, and we all just kind of love her. So what's not to like about it in theory, in spite of its weird jumbled script and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, I can't find anything for like Justice for Night and Day, but I am looking at the GIFs for this movie. There are so many hardcore action scenes in this movie that like, yeah, that are just intensely hardcore. Like the scene where like the with the bus, or like where he falls out of the sky and she's like driving the car, and like this movie has intense action scenes. It's not like one of those caper films. It is an intensely action focused feature that has about 18 different like climaxes as far as I can tell. Like what would you consider the climax of this movie to be?
Well, I guess just the very end where Peter Skarsgård at the end, he's like, I got it, I'm good, that kind of thing, and it just kind of blows up.
Here's where I thought the climax of the movie was at various points. I thought it was the climax of the movie when Peter Skarsgård, or when he gets shot and he falls into the water. I thought it was the climax of the movie when she had the speech at her sister's wedding, or her sister had the speech at her own wedding. I thought it was the climax of the movie when he wakes up in the hospital bed and Viola Davis is there. I thought it was the climax of the movie like 18 different times, and each time I was wrong. I thought it was the climax of the movie when they found Paul Dano on the train, and it turns out that was just like the second act of the film starting up.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
So overall, I feel this script is a messy bitch. Mangold did the adaptation, correct, of 3:10 to Yuma, like he wrote it?
Yes.
So this will be the first time that I think I can genuinely say I wish Mangold had done the script of this, because this script is just fucking bonkers. It's all over the place. Everyone's saying like the writing on this is terrible.
What I think James Mangold is really effective at doing, I think he's really great with editing. Or revising necessarily, because I think he did a really effective writing and editing through adapting Girl Interrupted, and I think he did really great with 3:10 to Yuma. He really modernized it in very effective ways. Unfortunately, there's no like really awesome female characters or really great just female characters all around in 3:10 to Yuma in the remake, but I still really, really loved it, and I think he modernized it in a very effective way. Just reevaluated, but yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see what other projects he ends up adapting later on, because I know obviously when he did the Wolverine and Logan, those are also adaptations of like very well-known established graphic novels.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what other stuff he can like really pull through, because clearly he's not a great.
He was not the writer on 3:10 to Yuma. That's interesting. I thought he was.
Wait, he was not? I thought he adapted it.
No, it was written by.
Well, forget me. Hot damn.
Wait, 3 other people did the screenplay, but I also thought he did it.
Am I thinking Walk the Line? Did he write Walk the Line?
Yes.
Yeah, he did write Walk the Line.
Yeah, this would be the 3:10 to Yuma and Night and Day would be like kicking off like the first real trilogy of movies that he did not write. So it's 3:10 to Yuma, Night and Day, and then his next one, which is the Wolverine, were 3 movies that he did not write. Then he took some time off. My guy is about to take a couple years off, which I'm very like happy about, because he needs to like reevaluate and comes back with some great work. But yeah, the next movie of his is the Wolverine, followed by a 4-year absence, then Logan. Yeah, fascinating. That's a fascinating thing to do. 4 years later, bookend it by going back to the like same character.
Well, I was even talking to my husband about it the other day, and I was like, babe, I gotta watch the Wolverine here pretty soon. I haven't seen Wolverine. And he's like, it's actually not that bad. I mean, like, it's not good, but it's not that bad. Like some people make it out to be like trash.
Is it the there's Wolverine, there was X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then there was the Wolverine, right?
Yes. Okay, yeah, so X-Men Origins like focuses on I don't know, he's married and
That's
stuff
like that's
that.
the other.
He's
That's
like
what's his name.
he's a lumberjack or something at one point.
Yeah, and he's up against what's his name, Liev Schreiber, right?
Yeah,
His
Saber Tooth.
co-star his co-star from King Leopold.
Can't Leopold, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This one, the Wolverine, is the one where he's like in Asia.
Yes, he goes to Japan, and it takes place, I believe, during World War II.
What? Really? World War? Okay.
Yes. He saves a Japanese soldier, and he saves him, and the Japanese soldier witnesses like him.
Oh, is
being
it like told in flashback? Because I know it takes place right after the last stand.
Yeah, kind of. But the Japanese soldier, he wants to thank him, and he's like, "You were the one that saved me. Thank you." And meanwhile, he is at this point, he is like a very successful businessman and everything. He is an old man. He has great grandkids, and all that kind of thing. And he wants to thank him, and he finds Wolverine. So,
oh shit, huh?
Yeah. But I've been told it's not. It's definitely not like in the top 5 of the X-Men franchise or anything. But it's definitely not awful. It's not that bad. So I'm really curious to see that
too. I'm very interested. I think that when he finds Hugh Jackman, like he did in Kate and Leopold, he doesn't realize like what a good like collaborator he's found yet, because they really need to find the right feature. So like this is gonna be interesting to see, because to go to have the Wolverine be, I think it was pretty much a flop though, right? Like when it came out in the box office. No, whoa, it did huge in the box office. Holy shit. Wow. It had $100 million budget, but it made back $400 million.
Damn, good for them.
Fucking Jesus.
I know it was like critically panned at the time.
It was considered better to reception than the Origins movie.
Well, that's not hard.
Yeah. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
That's a crazy amount of money. It's got 71 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not considered too bad.
Nice. I didn't know that.
I guess I conflated a lot with the other Wolverine movie, the Origins one. I'm just gonna be very interested in seeing like how he decides to do this, and then how he approaches it differently when it comes time for Logan. Because it's the same character played by the same actor, and you're taking them the same source material, but this time you're writing it yourself, and you're gonna adapt it from like much darker storyline, and it's gonna be a fucking banger. Like it's considered one of the best superhero movies of all time. Is the Wolverine?
It is definitely in the conversation, 100%. I've heard a lot of people be like, "What's the best superhero movie of all time? What is the best Marvel film of all time?" I've heard people argue Logan, Dark Knight, and Iron Man and Superman. I've heard all those movies in the conversation. Logan is 100% in the conversation. That's one of the best of all time. Even if you're not a fan of superhero movies, even if you are not familiar with the franchise or anything in general, it's still
especially if you're not. I think that's why it carried over so well, because it like specifically spoke to people who are not like Marvel or DC or like superhero fans.
And also, Patrick. What's his name? Patrick Stewart. Oh my gosh, it's heartbreaking.
Curse Up a Storm. Just cursing up a storm in this movie.
Patrick Stewart in the movie. Oh, it's heartbreaking. I remember when it came out, there was a lot of discussion about how
this was really a Clint Eastwood kind of movie that was done up like a super. So that's what James Mangold is becoming known for. He's like genre blending. Yes. I can figure that out, that he's starting to get a reputation for being able to blend genres into things that they, like a mashup that usually would not be like in other directors' hands would be considered kind of like very risky. And even though these movies aren't doing that well commercially so far, we are seeing that he's able to at least get studios behind the idea of doing these mashups.
Absolutely. I like movie. Okay, well, you can make the argument that most great movies are mashups, genre mashups. There's very few movies nowadays that aren't mashups. Like,
well, I'm saying like The Eternals is like a Marvel movie. Dune is like an epic. Like there's kind of things. But I'm saying taking a comic book movie and making it a almost like a Ronin, like Japanese samurai warrior film, or making it a lone gunman like Clint Eastwood kind of thing, and making it just sort of a different father and surrogate daughter / clone experience, like a road trip maybe, like doing that to something that is a definable Marvel property is like it's considered a huge risky move back then. I mean, not back then, but like it's considered a huge risky move.
Not even so just back then. I just think in general it was because because I feel like we can definitely save this down the line, but as a quick, but just kind of to cover it in before that. But at that point, we had already have had genre bending superhero comic book movies at the time, and we were really what we really loved as fans was the idea of a heavy dramatic comic book movie. Those were a lot of the movies that were really doing well. Do I need to talk about the Batman franchise all that much? And for a lot of fans,
different because the Batman franchise were dark and gritty, but they were still definably action, like gritty, like hard. They were just like more like almost like realistic and like let's whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, so is
Logan is like a sad movie. Like that's a drama. Like it is
absolutely
loss and like sadness. You know.
It absolutely is. And I think that's it. But the thing is, it also just so happens to be in a situation where it is about these group of kids. It has like a lot of these darker themes.
Well, do you think this movie, I guess my question is, with X-Men being as notable as an IP, and we probably should save this conversation for when we do these movies, but with X-Men being this notable of an IP and these characters being famous for doing these X-Men movies, to take the characters and then put them in this kind of situation, which is very bleak and like different than what we've seen them in, like I would say it's still a huge risk. Like it was a huge risk for them to take this on.
It's not, I don't think it was so much a huge risk personally, just because it was clear that a lot of the X-Men franchise, the direction it was traditionally going into, where they were trying to, in some ways replicate the MCU and DCEU, it wasn't working for them. I mean, we've had
2017. It was like they were still making more of them, like the New Class.
Yeah, I mean, they were successful, but they weren't to the same level of conversation. People didn't love them the same way. People watched them the opening weekend, but that was it.
I'm trying to think of another standalone movie that is like Logan that exists in this superhero world. I mean, Eternals kind of, because Eternals just felt so divorced from the rest of it. Maybe like Into the Spider-Verse and the stuff tackled there. But all the rest of these movies, like superhero movies, feel like they do kind of exist in the same thing. God, I'm trying to think. Maybe 1984, just because of how batshit it is.
And when it comes to Logan, though, in particular, I think it really is effective as a standalone movie. However, you wouldn't be able to appreciate it to the extent if you hadn't watched his journey through previous films. Like if you didn't know his relationship with his father figure, which is ironically his father figure played by Professor X, and if you didn't know his relationship with like how he got to Mexico, or his battle with alcoholism, and how he just kind of hates himself for being not necessarily immortal, but very slow, very, very slow aging, essentially.
Yeah, I just think the way that these issues are tackled in this movie as opposed to other movies. But again, we should save this for the other time. That movie is very different from 9 Day. My only point being that like he's starting to get a reputation, whether earned or not, as somebody who can like take this disparate thing and like this thing and sort of genre blend it together. Take a movie that had been written 12 different times in various forms, and for better or worse, make it into a movie that people apparently kind of love. Taking the movie Identity, which is just a bonkers batshit genre idea, and matching it up with like a actual sort of weird, not like a psychological thriller, taking like the idea of a premise that's Agatha Christie and turning it into like a twist psychological thing is like a pretty cool thing. And I think that 3:10 to Yuma becoming like a buddy movie and a western, or like adapting it, like he's taking these things. And I think one thing you can say about him, the biopic, like Walk the Line and having that be so like stand out, is that he's making, maybe mashup is the wrong word, maybe what I'm thinking is he's making iconoclastic films in genres. Like he's becoming known for taking doing stuff within a genre and then making it stand out from said genre, like doing it differently than the genre usually calls for. So Night and Day is like, it's like a rom-com action film, but it feels different because it's so heavy on the rom-com stuff.
But it's not. But the thing is, so any director also in theory can make a genre bending film. Yeah. However, not every director can make a good genre bending film.
Arguably, this is not one of them.
Yeah, and this is definitely not one of them for sure. But I think what it's like you said, he is building his name as like an editor director that can experiment, that can blur the lines when it comes to certain ideas, and filming certain scripts that can be in theory very difficult to do, and if it's done in the wrong hands. Now, not to say that he's always the right set of hands to tackle genre bending.
I'm away from rom-com. Clayton Leopold in this is not giving me very like hard, strong vibes. He knows how to write romantic comedies very well.
Plus, I am really excited to see him. Hopefully,
I'm interested in doing Indiana Jones, right? Like that's where the real test is going to be. Is like he's going to take this very famous IP, this very popular IP, like kind of like with Wolverine, and like let's see if he fucks it up or not. I mean, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was awful, but I'm very interested to see how like what he does with this, like again, like taking a well-known property and making it his own. However he does that, like I'm very interested. Like, is it going to be like Ghostbusters Afterlife or whatever, or is it going to be like a this weird stand-alone iconoclastic film that doesn't feel like it's necessarily part of the rest of the Indiana Jones vibe? Like, it's gonna be like Indy really considering death and his legacy.
I don't know. I also am just really curious to see what the studio, because obviously, the studio is not going to allow Indiana to die. Or if he does die, hypothetically, he's not so much going to die. It's going to be like him retiring.
Well, we saw Logan die.
Yeah, but this is Indiana Jones. This is a very different thing. Also, Harrison Ford has said repeatedly he doesn't want him to die. Harrison Ford is the kind of actor where he's been asked in interviews, oh, who would you love to see like do a young Indiana Jones or whatever, and he's like, what the fuck? No, you retire the character once I'm done.
Oh, well, that's never going to happen. Good luck getting that.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. But as long as Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, he is not going to let that happen.
Wait. But Alex, that already did happen. Young Indiana Jones was its own TV series. Like very.
Yeah, but that's different. It's a TV show. It doesn't count.
Okay, but like
at least in Harrison Ford's mind, and it's like he was a kid.
He was a kid.
Yeah, he was a kid. He was like 15 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Young Indiana Jones, like it is its own.
But I mean, like it's not like a movie. It's different. And at least in Harrison Ford's mind, he's like, that doesn't count.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just in terms of like the baton being passed. It's like, yo, you already have like that's already been a problem. Also, you also already have Shia. Like, are they just gonna retcon Shia because he can't be in these movies anymore? He can't be in anything anymore.
Well, he can still hypothetically he can still be the son, but maybe he'll have like.
No, he won't be allowed to be in the movie.
Or maybe he'll. Oh no, not that. I just mean like maybe he'll have another son that he didn't know about.
Oh,
or maybe he'll have a student that he.
I think he will
mentors,
because I think that's what what's her name is going to be, Phoebe Waller-Bridge or Phoebe Waller, whatever her name, Fleabag.
Yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is going to be fascinating because that is an age gap right there. But I'm not sure if necessarily they say they're playing against each other. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be a romantic love interest, and if she is, like she's helping out with the script. Like that's not going to be like something that's going to go like unremarked upon. She's definitely going to be like matching the power dynamic immediately between two of them. I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. Sorry.
Yeah, I would be surprised if she plays his daughter, granddaughter, or heck, like his.
No, I think it's gonna be somebody who like works with and he finds out is his granddaughter, finds out is his daughter, like by the end of the film.
Mm-hmm. Or heck, maybe he finds out this woman is like a lot smarter, and she's like correcting him, and she's like, where he's like, yeah, we just take the shit or whatever, because Indiana Jones is notoriously a horrible archaeologist.
Maybe it's like the new 007. Maybe it's like the new James Bond, where she's just like the new version of him, who's like, she's the professor who's like taking over his job because his tenure, but like he's old. Maybe he's gotten into some. I just like the idea that Indiana Jones has been canceled. Like he said some shit in his university that was like,
not an awful archaeologist.
He's archaeologist, but I mean, like, he's also an awful professor who was never there. Like he's constantly out there, like not doing professorial work, and the idea that he might just accidentally get canceled, considering the last time we saw him in a classroom, like a girl was winking "love you" at him, like it's hilarious.
But that wasn't him. Like he wasn't sleeping with students or anything. But
I understand, but students wanted to sleep with him. A bunch of them did.
That's not his fault, though.
Well, but in today's climate, it's not the best look. I'm just saying. I'm very interested.
Yeah, like. Yeah, but that's not his problem, though. If a guy hypothetically wants to sleep with me, that's not my problem. That's his problem.
It's interesting, like they'll deal with campus politics or office politics with his job as a professor. Also, running away to go steal artifacts and give them to museums or like the fucking government.
Or even better, you can bring up, I was a child, and he was like, "What?"
Sorry, they're like. Did you sleep with a Nazi at one point that was also sleeping with your dad? And he'll be like, what about it?
But he didn't know, one, she was a Nazi, and he didn't know that, two, she was sleeping with his dad.
He still kind of wanted to do her. He also slapped her in the face before he knew either of those things, which is not cool to do.
He slapped her in the face once he found out. And she also
when he kissed her, she slapped him in the face, and he slapped her right back. That was before he found out.
Oh yeah, I can't remember this. I'm thinking about when they confronted each other at the book burning.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't slap her there because he doesn't want.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I know he shoves her against a wall at one point.
Yeah, and he's like scream, and like she's like, I could just scream and call them all over here, and he's like, you scream and like you won't even live to see them or something like that, and you're like, that's hot, I guess. Are you guys still into each other? I can't tell. Anyway, he could have a Nazi kid that's actually his brother, sister. I mean, he's sure we could have a Chinatown thing going on, not his brother or his sister. Although this movie taking place post Crystal Skull, he must be married.
I don't want to talk about think about any more Nazis. Honestly, I'm kind of done with the Nazi trope.
Well, don't worry, he's now in the part of the future where he's just against the Russians. So
that makes more sense. I mean, it's supposed to be more Cold War era if it's supposed to take place in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, let's see what else we got going on here in the new Indiana Jones world. I'm trying to see if there's any updated news on Indiana Jones. The new Indiana Jones. Let's see. Indiana Jones movies. Okay, let's see. News about it. 1 second. Oof. Indiana Jones crew member dies on location in Morocco. That's not great.
That's the first I've heard of it.
I mean, it was no rust, but it seems like it was not great. Reportedly dead.
Was it related to the movie or no? Or did he just?
I don't know. It seems like a reportedly found dead does not sound like it was during the shooting. Let's see. Yeah, he was found dead in a hotel room. Not related to production. That's sad though. Let's see what else we know. He rides a boat. He let's see. Push back a year. So now it's all gonna be in 2023. Jesus Christ. He's shooting in Italy. And wait, here we go. Indiana Jones director James Mangold has answered a very important question about Harrison Ford's Indy. Okay. So here's the plot thing on Twitter that he posted. James Mangold responded to an Indiana Jones fan on Twitter who had a simple but very important question for the director. Whether Indy's bag strap is over or under his leather jacket. Mangold replies with an emphatic over, so it's clear the director has a lot of thoughts on the controversial question. Is that a controversial question? That's hilarious. That means he's on Twitter just answering Indiana Jones questions. We should send him ours. Also, our next question.
Yeah. What's up? Hey, Mangold, can you explain this to us, please?
Yeah. Oh God.
Because I do, on one end, I kind of feel bad, but I kind of don't. Because I remember when we did the Schlafly songs, and we covered, what was that movie?
Yeah.
We covered the one with blackface. It said New
Oh
York
my
City.
God, Calendar Man or January
Calendar Man. Yes, thank you, Calendar Man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, and there was an entire thread talking about how, like, we were like, why is this in the movie at all? And it was in the script, and it was like, why, how did this happen? How did this actually get shot? Blackface. It was like there was entire conversations in the movie surrounding how did this happen, and it was all like a huge Twitter, like a Twitter thread. Like you, Lon, and I, and a few other people, but he was also in the thread. So hypothetically, he got all those notifications for every one of them as well. And so I kind of feel bad for him.
I don't. I feel like he was like, we give him a chance to come on. He probably loves the attention. I love it.
I didn't
tag him. We definitely didn't tag him on the one where we talked about the blackface. I promise you, I did not tag him on that one.
Oh, I remember. I couldn't. There was multiple tweets, but that one in particular, that thread in particular, he was tagged in because I remember looking at it.
Well, that's neither here nor there, but I really hope I hope not. I did not mean to call him out on that, but I did want to talk to him about it. So wait, I'm on the path in the next Indiana Jones film. There's no trailer, but
of course,
Harrison Ford, blah, 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 and the film will not take place too far in the past. Since Crystal Skulls tackled the 50s, this one should probably land in the 60s. James Mangold mentioned listening to Velvet Underground and mentally living in the 60s NYC right now because of the movies he's working on. So that might be what this is about. There's an unverified speculation that the plot could revolve around Jones battling a Nazi scientist enlisted into NASA by the United States government to work on the Space Agency's moon landing initiative, which was things that did happen. We recruited a lot of Nazi scientists. Oh my God, that's right. Mads Mikkelsen is in the fucking film. And then to be playing the key villain. Oh, that's gonna be so good.
It makes me so happy. And I think it was today or yesterday was his birthday.
Oh, I love you, man. I love them. So yeah, wait, that was right. Phoebe Waller-Bridge will play the female lead in the film. Oh, I thought I was gonna be saying something else. There's also Toby Jones. Great, he needs to be in anything.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Boyd Halbrook, again from Logan. And Shanat Renee Wilson from Black Panther. Shia LaBeouf will not be returning, but that's also because he's canceled. And who else is involved with it? The guys, it's being screenplayed by the same people who did Ford versus Ferrari, a movie I've not seen yet. John Williams is going to do it, and Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall, who, if you'll remember, I believe is Kathleen Kennedy's husband, who wrote, had the rights to Congo. It's fun. It's fun. George Lucas gets a writing credit. So, guys, I think that's all we had for Night and Day. As you can tell, we're off topic now because that movie is bonkers.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. We're having fun, chatting Logan and
Alex,
Indiana Jones.
Thanksgiving. What do you got going on?
I'm gonna be going back home to visit family in St. Louis. That's gonna be fun. And we're going to be going down there for a few days. Actually, right after this, I'm going to be doing some packing because we leave tomorrow. And then next week, I'm going to be going Spectacular.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Spectacular? I'm going to be at Spectacular. I'm going to be at all the events around Spectacular. I'm coming home 2 days before Spectacular and getting ready because Adelia is coming to stay with us, which Wonderful. I'm really excited about. Yeah. I'm really excited to see everybody, especially because no big deal. I just randomly started looking at like what the predictions are for season 9. People seem to have me pretty high up there for people that are going to do well in next season.
I just keep thinking. I just keep thinking about your performance, especially during the horror exhibition match, and you did a fantastic. But I think you just really blew everyone away with
the speed round.
Oh yeah, well, not just with the speed round, but just throughout it overall. It's oh my gosh, I've talked about it a million times. I feel like a million times how Schmoedown every year they should create another division for the year. Like every year they have like an extra division.
Or at least exhibition matches. Like this one we were gonna get, but because there's nothing Christmas horror exhibition, there'll be like 4 exhibitions in horror this year. I think that's good, you know.
Exhibition matches are cool, but I'm not talking about an exhibition match. I'm talking about a genre specifically that goes on for like a genre specific division for 1 year. One year it's horror. Next year it can be horror. The year after it can be animated, and it can have all of its own slices and everything.
I guess my only issue is like with doing that, you have to do a tournament, and then it becomes like very narrow and like this kind of like building up to something. I like the idea of the exhibitions because it's like the idea of like almost like stakes, and you don't have to build up like a bunch of matches and have these brackets and all these things that are time consuming.
That's why I'm not a huge fan of it, because I like exhibition matches just fine, except that they don't really mean much in the long term. Like, they're not going to earn you points or anything.
But like next season, we're not going to be focusing on factions that much, so I think that's exactly the direction of it, right? So like that's
that's definitely an argument for sure. I'm really curious to see what Christian's going to do. I know there has been a lot of talk about the increasing the number of factions, but there's going to be less people on the factions. There's only going to be like 4 or 5 people per faction, which is kind of insane. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I think that all goes to the idea of these doing more like stunt matches or whatever. I think that I like the idea of like, I love doing that exhibition match. Also because like even in a tournament, the chances of me getting to play another speed round would be very low. I'd have to go to the finals of the tournament. Like, whereas this thing with Janine that I just did for the final girls was so much fun, and I got my first time at the buzzer, and it was so like different. It was a refreshing change of pace. I really like doing it.
This is you. This is you.
Yeah, this is me. It's me. It's like Anya Taylor-Joy's first movie, The Witch.
I'm gonna say, like, whenever I see you in LA, that's what I'm gonna do. Hey, Drew.
Can someone gif that, by the way, of me just like slamming that buzzer down? Like I'm Thor.
I would love to see a gif of you and Brendan Meyer, or just like people how they do this, because Brendan Meyer, whenever he does the speed round, he literally goes like,
yeah,
this is the answer.
Me and Brendan are both very jumpy people.
I remember we asked him that during on when he came for an interview with Chill to Action. It was Paul asked him, it was like a this or that question, and it was sex or the buzzer.
Oh God, you cannot ask that to baby Brendan.
He answered, and he's like, oh shit, the buzzer.
Yeah, the buzzer feels real good.
So good.
We could even argue it's the same thing.
It was really funny. It was great.
Okay, well, I think this is pretty good, guys. We're gonna break and have Thanksgiving. Next week we will not be having a show because we will be or at least not on Tuesday, because I will be flying home from blah 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 to blah blah blah, and I won't be getting back until late. So we're gonna put next week on hold. Hopefully the week after, which is the week after Spectacular, we're gonna be able to do the next movie, the Wolverine. So we're gonna figure out or not the Wolverine, then we will at some point have a special, we're hoping, we're getting it together right now, a special holiday themed episode with some special guests on, because I like when we have guests on, and the holidays last year was really fun. You had that cool guy on. We had Roke on a couple of times. You had your friend from Screen Crush, who was great. I like that idea. And so I'm very excited about what we have coming up, but next week we will be taking a brief hiatus. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me talking about how Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is actually a movie about polyamory. On Twitter.
Wow.
On Twitter, right here at @real_Alex.
You're back to that movie, huh?
I watch it, and I actually watched it again pretty recently, and I was like, yeah, I'm still getting the same vibes. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Wow.
Really bad. But it's there's a lot of longing looks. I'm like, you get you some. All right. But I'm inching my way closer. I believe I'm at like 240 first time watches for the year. So before the end of the year, I had to hit 50 movies. Yay. Or more than 50 movies, first time watch movies. So help me along on my journey, make suggestions and stuff on my Twitter. That'd be dope.
Sweet. And as for me, you can find me over at VideoDrew. It's one word. It's across all social media. You can also find my podcast network that I do with NerdChronic. It's called Content Candy. We just have a new episode of Garmin Shozia with me and Lon Harris up. Please, guys, if you can, go over there. Go over to iTunes or podcasts or whatever and leave a review. Leave a nice rating. Give us some 5 stars. And just, it really helps boost up our numbers and helps us get things like sponsorship deals, which are incredibly important for keeping the lights on. So if you do that, I do have an offer going where if you leave a review on the podcast thing that, the Apple podcast thing or iTunes, whatever you want to call it, the regular podcast shit that people listen to, I will endorse you for whatever you want on LinkedIn. And my endorsement, that should mean something. I don't care if it's like for mechanics or for spying or for knowing Excel, I will in fact endorse you for whatever you want. That's my promise. So, take that as it will. We also have the VideoChronic pop culture quizzes that we do Monday and Thursday. We just did the Ultimate Thanksgiving movie, Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi one. Yesterday I fell asleep on stream because I'm still getting used to the East Coast thing. I also have a Patreon guide, patreon.com/VideoDrew. Again, any donation helps, even $1, and it gets you access to cool things like study sessions and fun hangouts and the ability to help choose movies for us. I also do, this week, Saturday coming up, we have another Why Are We Like This with me and Adam Collins. I think we're going to be tackling some of my early writing that I found, my childhood writing, as well as some web series that I'm obsessed with. So we'll be going into that after our very successful Chucky episode that involved Devin Sawa following me on Twitter and getting a like from Jennifer Tilly. So that's, the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Have a happy Turkey Day. Tolerate your family. They are what they are. We all love each other in difficult ways. And just think about this. It could always be worse. You could be living in night and day.
But you guys be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe. If you're traveling, be safe. Don't let Tom Cruise shoot down your entire airplane. Okay, guys. See you guys. Bye.